All right, welcome back to the channel. It's Jen from Ezekiel Effect Ministries and my darling husband, Daniel. Now, if you watched part one, this is part two of Daniel's testimony, or just, we're going to do a little interview here of how we started, how we met, how we started dating. This is part two, so if you watched part one, you'll know what's happening. If not, you'll just have to jump in and maybe watch part one later. But yeah, so just to recap, we were just talking about in the first video, we ended by alluding to the fact that we had planned our first date, and the menu of where to go was going to be tricky because of some of my food sensitivities, and so he thought that was comical. So all right,
well, we ended up going to Panera because they had some pretty healthy options, and they're like low pressure in and out.
And I forgot this part. I think we should tell them. We were like having this whole cute little dialogue on the text thread about how Daniel likes to cook. Because he said, at first we were just going to go to the gym. But he said, oh, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to do like dinner? And maybe I can cook you something. And I just thought that was so sweet. Because then he told me about how he learned to cook from his mom. And he always cooks, and that impressed me a lot.
Oh,
that he knew how to cook.
And so yeah, we went to Panera, and I got some autumn squash soup and bread, and she got, I think, a Mediterranean salad, if I remember correctly.
I don't know what I got.
Something like that.
I was too enamored with you.
And we sat next to each other and played footsies and fed each other soup. And
that was our first time feeding each other food.
Yeah,
that was fun. That was fun. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and how did you feel about that? Because I was reading you like a list of, I think. Oh, I forgot to say this. So that week before we went on the date, I think you were saying something like, you were making mention of like, I don't know why you want to go out with me or something like that. And the Lord told me.
Yeah, and we had already gotten through the hard stuff. We had the hard conversations already about why not date me. Reason, like, I wasn't playing around. Like, if you want to date me, you're gonna know what you're getting into. So
yeah,
I made sure she knew exactly what she was getting into. So we got through all the difficult stuff before we went on our first date.
Yeah, same, both of us. And so the Lord told me that night after we were at Shy Hop, make a list of things that you really admire about him, that you like about him, and read it to him, because he needs to understand why. And so I did. I made this whole list, and it was really fun, actually. We probably still have it somewhere, but it was really fun to have the list of all the qualities of things I already knew about him in such a very short period of time, which was so cool. And why I respected him. And yeah, how did you feel about what I read to you then that night?
It was very sweet. Yeah. It was like 3 pages too.
It was, and
double spaced.
I printed it in color, so it had emojis too.
Yes, with emojis. How could it not?
Yes.
I mean, look at all these YouTube shorts. They all have emojis.
Yes. All right. So we had dinner. Yeah. And then how was the rest of the date?
And you read me all the things you like about me. And
yes.
So, yeah, we went to the gym, and then,
which was your stomping grounds.
My stomping grounds. But before we got into the door, we cuddled.
We cuddled,
and then you kept glancing at my lips, and, and kept kissing my cheek, completely enamored.
And how did you feel about that?
Well, flattered, and I was enjoying it.
Yeah.
Flattery works.
Did you want to kiss me?
Well, you kind of half kissed me, and I was like, was that my first kiss? Because I'd never kissed a girl before. And so you were like, "Do you want it to be?" And it's like, "Yeah." So she gave me a kiss, and then we kept kissing all night.
Really? Was it all night?
It was all night.
Wait, hold on a second.
We went in, we went swimming, and we were kissing the whole time.
Oh boy. Okay, guys.
We took the hot tub, and we were kissing some more. Yep. Then we did some ministry on our way out to this.
Oh, we
mountain.
did. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Went back to the car and kissed some more.
I think we should probably give some context because people are like, wow, that was moving really fast. And it kind of was, but at the same time, we had hung out on a couple other occasions, didn't we? Before that? Or no?
No,
Was it after that?
we just the paddle boarding.
Okay. Or maybe it was like that week then we got together at my house because we had just done the
Yeah.
date thing. Maybe that's what it was.
Maybe.
Okay. Yeah. So you liked the kissing.
I did.
And then we did a little swimming and hot tubbing and ministry after that.
You're a very good kisser, and you teach kissing very well.
Oh, thank you. Yes. All right. Who knew I was going to be a good instructor in that department? So, all right. So, what happened after that? The first date was a hit.
First day was a hit. The second day was only like a week or two later,
Uh huh.
where we went out for sushi, and then John Christ.
Was there something like, oh, I know what I. Do you remember like how we were texting back and forth and you were like, I think you said something like, you're very distracting or something like that.
yes, you
Like
are.
you wanted to see me or something.
Yes,
and,
definitely.
because you're like, oh, you're very distracting. And I was like, he's like, well, it's probably too soon. I was like, no, it's not. I'm
Yeah,
game.
that's right. Because you like,
I'm
I was
game.
like, is today too soon? Because we were planning on seeing each other in a couple days. So I came over the next day, and we hung out.
Yeah,
And
you brought your
kiss some
guitar. You brought your guitar. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah, we hung out, and yeah, we started seeing each other a lot. And then the second date, we went to John Christ, and we were
Yeah,
originally going to
that
go
was
to
official.
Texas Roadhouse, but I don't know why we didn't. I think we tried to call for a reservation, and they were like, "It's an hour wait," and we were like, "Nope."
Oh yeah, the sushi place was no wait. So
And so we went to the sushi place that was on the way,
yeah, that was good.
and yeah, I
Yeah.
dressed up, you dressed up.
Did you feel a connection with me, like after the first date or before the first date
More
or?
than physically connecting
Yeah,
with
like
it.
did you? Yeah, like obviously anybody can be physical because they're kissing each other, but like how did you know that it was like good? Besides that.
I knew I enjoyed your company,
Yeah. Okay.
and you know, flattery works. It's very nice to be wanted.
So that was different, right?
Yeah, very different. Like I'd never been sought after before. Like,
Yeah.
nobody had wanted me, and so it was very intoxicating.
Yeah. And one of the things that, you know, I think when you, this is just like a public service announcement kind of thing for the people listening. Because I think, you know, when we get into like relationships, they're like, if it's a godly relationship, they're designed to heal, you know, and I think Daniel and I, as we were getting to know each other, it was very healing. I mean, I'm going to speak for myself. But I felt like it was very healing for both of us because of different reasons. But we both had experienced rejection, like what Daniel's talking about, in different ways throughout our life. Not just, quote, in relationships, but we both had experienced rejection. So the fact that, you know, we were pursuing each other obviously was really nice. It felt nice. At least for me it did. And then I think the idea when Daniel was saying, you know, that he felt wanted because he kept saying, I remember he kept saying, like, for the longest time, he kept saying, like, well, nobody wanted me. And finally, one day, I just said to him, I said, you know what? I think the Lord's telling me that he set you apart. That it wasn't because these people, quote, rejected you. Like, they were actually not your person. They weren't the people that God had set apart for him. They weren't going to be his wife the way I was. So God was protecting him. He was hiding him. And sometimes God's protection, so our rejection or people rejecting us is God's way of protecting us. That's what the Lord told me. And so after I shared that, and I felt like that was the same for me, because when I was feeling, like I was open to dating before I met Daniel, it was like probably 6 to 9 months before I met him, I was feeling ready to date. And it had been like, I don't know, a year and a half after I got divorced. And I knew the Lord was hiding me. I knew he didn't want people trying to hit on me or like talk to me or whatever, like especially creepy people or people who weren't Christian or just anybody that was not going to be my husband, my future husband. So I feel like that's what the Lord was saying for you too.
It still sucks.
Like our human, part doesn't like it, but like God really does set us, so maybe that's you, maybe God has set you apart and you're waiting for the right person, but you're feeling rejected or frustrated, with the dating scene or lack thereof. Well, there's probably a reason for that, or you're just not ready, that could be it too. So
anyway. And whatever the reason is, it still sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So what else?
So yeah, we started hanging out a lot. Mostly we would hang out at her house because she has doggies. And it's difficult for her to leave the doggies. I didn't know that doggies had to be let out every 2 hours. It's like, oh my gosh, how do you do anything?
Yeah, Daniel kind of like started letting the dogs grow on him a little bit. I thought that was a big step of faith for him to really just start to not necessarily like them, but he was tolerating the dogs. So I felt like that was a big challenge and a hurdle that he was overcoming. And I was really grateful that he was willing to, tolerate my dogs and, just go along with it.
Also, she doesn't like driving. So on this year where I expected to do very little driving except to rock climbing places, I was driving an hour each way to her house.
Yeah. There's a lot of driving.
Just to see her. It's like I was working.
Yeah, but thankfully you weren't working.
Yeah, it would have been very difficult to do the dating we did if I had been working, because we just would not have had, I wouldn't have had energy, we wouldn't have had time to connect.
Yeah, probably wouldn't have seen much of each other.
Yeah, it would have been a much longer dating process.
And you would have been really tired all the time.
Yeah.
Because, you're tired now when you come home from work and you're doing the welding thing, so it would have been the same. So I was really grateful that he wasn't working, and he was doing things for the Lord. What were you doing? What did the Lord have you volunteering?
Oh, that was later, I think.
Yeah, that happened like in the winter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it before we got married? Or was it after? I can't remember.
I think it was after.
All right. Well, tell us about talk about when did you know you wanted to marry me?
Well, it was just dating, and so our relationship progressed really fast. Like, we saw a lot of each other. We didn't have a chaperone since we're old.
We're adults.
We're adults, and after a certain point, nobody cares. Like, they care that you stay, like, morally pure, but it's like, nobody cares.
No.
And nobody has time to chaperone anyway.
No, nobody needs a chaperone.
So, we just hung out mostly at her house, and I mean, there were boundaries that we wouldn't cross, but
Right.
we like to get up to the line by the end.
All right. So when did you know that you wanted to marry me?
And so, yeah, I just, I think it was in December, because I had been asking the Lord, and I had peace about it. Like, all my questions had been answered. I think the final hurdle was meeting my parents, which went awfully. That was such a terrible experience. Like, Jen walked out really offended, and and she just wanted to leave, and all the drama that goes along with that, the conversation, the walk, the figuring out, and like, she was like you gotta choose, and it's like, well, like I'm not their child anymore. Like I get to choose my own life, and so that actually propelled me to be like, you know what? If it comes down to a decision, I choose you. You're what I want in my life. And so,
Yeah. So it was it was a hard, it started out good, but then it went south quick. And so it was a hard night, but it proved to me that Daniel still had my back and that he wanted to be with me. So I was grateful for that. And it, it just goes to show that you can't always choose who your family is going to be, but, you can trust that the Lord's going to work it out, even if not everybody sees eye to eye. And they still came to our wedding. It's not what we were really envisioning. I don't think either one of us, as far as how the relationship was going to start out. And there had to be some forgiveness, so that was part of it. So,
yeah.
there was that. So, you decided that you wanted to get married after that.
Well, I decided. And then on the 15th, we picked out the rings. And funny story, we were going to pick out.
I don't think you have to tell this story.
All right, fine. I guess it's not my story to tell.
Right. There was just something weird that happened the day we
Just
went
coincidences.
to pick out the ring. But anyway, go on.
And yeah, so we picked out the rings. She decided she wanted the princess cut.
Oh,
So-
yes.
So we got
The
her
princess cut.
princess cut, and we decided not to get the extra bands. Like, she got confirmation from like 3 people that you don't actually need the extra bands on your wedding ring.
Yes. Thankfully.
Because I prefer simple and elegant.
Yes. Yes.
So
Daniel makes me feel like a princess.
You got
so
my princess.
I was happy, and I'm the Lord's princess. So
and
the
then we
Lord
picked
told me
out
to
my
get the
ring,
princess.
and it was between so we picked out a black tungsten ring.
Show them your ring.
It's on the
Oh, you don't have it right now. Okay.
um,
He doesn't wear it for work.
I don't
that's
wear
why.
it for work, so I'm not used to wearing it these days.
Anyway, go on.
But with a blue band in the middle instead of the koa wood, which was the runner-up.
Yeah, it's got like ocean blue strip down the middle of it. It's really pretty.
So yeah, fits me because I like tungsten. I'm a TIG welder, which is welding with tungsten. And
I knew nothing about any of these materials before we picked the ring out, so that was
yeah,
educational
I'm very
for me.
used to the material.
Yeah, and it's durable. Isn't that why you got it? Like, it's not going to bend, and
Yeah, it's not gonna bend. It's not gonna break.
gold will.
Well, I guess it can break if you hit it with a hammer, but it's not gonna. It's not gonna scratch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas gold, like I'm not a flashy guy. I'm not a shiny
You're not a shiny
I'm
guy.
not, I don't wear shiny jewelry. I don't wear any jewelry. Like I'm wearing glasses and a watch.
That's it. Yeah, he's a simple guy. So, yeah. So, when did we decide to pick out? Yeah, the date. When did we decided to get married at my house? And how was
So,
that for? How was that for you?
Originally, we were at when we were at Chai Hop. I said I would marry you tomorrow. No, that was later. That was like the 20th or something like that.
Yeah.
It would have been a Monday night. Because we afterwards we went and sat in your car and we talked, and I said I would marry you tomorrow, and we kind of laughed it off. But the next day, you were like, I kind of want to take you up on that.
Yeah, I thought about it, and we had asked the Lord, and He told us it was really our decision.
Because originally you wanted to wait till January 21st. That was the date you were feeling.
Yeah, I was feeling that weekend,
And
and it turns out the 21st was the day we left for our honeymoon, because we got married on the 20th.
we had our ceremony on the 20th.
Yeah.
But we got married on the 23rd of December. And we were looking up how to elope in a courthouse. And turns out the laws are to get married, you need to get a marriage license, which is like $60. At the courthouse, you give them all your information and your parents' information. And then
Your parents' information.
Yeah.
That was weird. That was really weird to me. Right?
yeah, you did not like that part.
That
You're
was
like,
so
I don't know where they
weird.
live. They don't have any control over me.
I'm like, why do I know? Anyway, go on.
It's like Bible times.
It was weird.
Daniel, the son.
Right. That's probably what it was. Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. So how was the ceremony for you?
And then we found out that the courthouse only does civil ceremonies once a month. And they weren't going to do another ceremony until the middle of January. And so we were like, well, that's not what we wanted.
Right.
So we found out that clergy can marry you. And so you called your pastor, Mark Torres, and he, of course, wanted to meet with us. And they had questions. And so we met with them and Todd and Julianne at the Beery's house and went through it. And they're like, you're not 20. Like, you can make your own decision. And
They were very impressed with how we conducted ourselves.
yeah, and
I think
they had
during the
questions,
conversation.
like, understandably. And so
Yeah.
we told them, like, this is what we want.
Yep.
And so Mark said, yeah, I'll marry you. But not until Saturday. Was it?
Yeah, it was a few days later.
was a
So
few
we were
days
like,
later.
sure, that sounds
So,
great.
Like, okay, like, we don't have a choice.
It was last minute, and we were just thankful. We wanted to do it around the holidays, so my ring had come in, so we were excited.
Thankfully, the ring had come in.
The Lord brought the ring sooner than expected.
And so we got a bottle of champagne, and we decided to wear our Santa hats.
Yeah, that was fun.
And invited the Petries over to witness, which was super cute. And Steven was so funny. He was like, hey, bro, what you doing later? Want to hang out?
They brought their kids. We all toasted.
Marriage night. What you doing? Want to hang out?
It was fun.
Sorry, honey. Gotta hang out with my bro.
Yeah, it was a fun night. It was a fun night, for sure. So
And I had lied to my family. I told them I was going camping.
they had no idea he was eloping.
I did not tell them I was eloping.
Oh man, why did you lie to them? What was the gist of that?
I just didn't want them to be like, what the heck? I
Oh,
didn't
the
want
judgment.
Yeah, I didn't want judgment. I wanted to be like, it's my life, it's my choice.
Yeah.
And I'm choosing to marry this woman.
Yeah. They were hung up on whether my divorce was gonna, was it legal in the eyes of the Lord? That was the gist of what they were hung up on. So
And I
we
had done
didn't
my
agree with-
studying and read those books, those books on marriage that have that chapter about divorce and remarriage that you skip over because you think that's never going to apply to me.
Yeah.
So I read
So-
through those and I was like, there really is no prohibition against remarriage in Scripture. It's just on divorce because it's assumed that the woman will get remarried. When Jesus said, whoever divorces his wife causes her to commit adultery, it's because in that culture, women can't make their own living, so they're forced to remarry. And that wasn't unlawful for hundreds of years, the church
That was the old covenant.
was against marriage even for widows, and it's that's not scriptural. But anyways, I digress.
That's a whole nother
That's
topic.
that's not what
So-
Jen wants to hear.
It's all good. So bottom line was, we got married and
Yeah, and then we started living because
oh, you lied to your parents. That's what it was. Your family.
Grandparents.
Your family. You
Yeah.
told them you were going camping. Yeah. So then your grandma knew though.
my grandma's a smart
She
cookie.
called you out. Not that you needed to, quote,
She was,
explain
and
yourself.
She was like,
but
why don't they just get married? And I was like, I loved it. And she was like, yeah.
I knew that.
Kind of, that's what I was thinking you should do, kind of idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should have just told the truth.
Yep. So yeah, see, so you learned something.
Yeah.
No one's perfect, but you learned something. You
So-
made amends. It's all good.
Yeah. So we still, it was for the first, what was it, 8 months? Because we got married in December, moved here in
Moved
June.
in June.
January,
6
February,
months.
May, June. So 5-6 months. We were living an hour away from each other. And yeah, there were some people who were like, oh, I would never do that. I'm like, I would want to move in with my husband. It's like, well, yeah, if we could, we would.
Yeah.
But
Well-
circumstances did not allow us to.
Did you feel like it also gave us time to kind of slowly transition?
It
'Cause
was nice.
we were still getting to know each other, right? It was
Yeah.
still a lot. It really was a lot.
Yeah, it was a nice way to transition to still have some space by default, and
Yeah.
yeah,
But it also was hard to be apart at the same time. So it was yes and no. It was both.
it was both. We really liked each other.
We really liked each other. We liked spending time together.
And it was nice not to have all the inhibitions that we had before marriage.
Right. Right. So that was good too. Yeah.
There was also this poll that said, I don't want you to leave.
Yep.
Why do you have to leave?
Yeah. That was really hard.
And you didn't think that would be so hard, but for you especially, that became harder and harder.
It was.
Be like, I don't want you to go.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
when we,
And for you.
it was, and we did get to go rock climbing together, and,
Yeah. I mean, we spent the whole weekends together. We did a lot together. It just was hard during the week when we were only together, 3 out of 5 days or whatever.
so it was,
You were doing your volunteering. at
I was
Operation
volunteering at
Blessing.
Operation Blessing, so I would do that in the morning.
Tell everybody what that was.
Because the Lord was like, it's a food pantry in Allsip, Illinois, that also prays with people who want prayer. So ministry I respect. It's where I got healed of depression, well, delivered from depression. Like miraculously, never had depression since. So that's been a place on my heart. It's like been very blessed.
Hallelujah. And I went there a few times with him, and so we would sit
And
in
you
the.
loved it.
I did. It was awesome. That was our first experience, really. Like, we had prayed together before, but like praying for other people together.
We did Operation Jesus.
Yeah, we did that on Christmas. That was really fun in Chicago. Operation Jesus. We helped the homeless community, and we had been volunteering with the homeless community that I was involved with through another organization. So he was coming to volunteer. So we'd been doing a lot with homeless community, and then I joined Daniel to do the Operation Blessing. So we would sit in the room, people would come in, and we would pray with them, and so that was really powerful.
Draining for me, energizing for her.
Yeah, but it helped that I was there for you, right?
It was power. We had some powerful
It was
prayers.
really powerful. So yeah, I think the Lord was showing us, like, you know, we're going to be doing ministry together, and we definitely work really well together.
Yeah, and when your church asked you to do ministry without me, and you said, I don't want to do ministry. Like, if you take one of us, you take both of us. And then the Lord was like, you passed that test. Like,
Yeah.
something better is going to come up for you.
Yeah. Yep, we knew we had to stick together. We were not going to be divided, especially since we were married. But even if we weren't married, I still wouldn't have wanted to do it without Daniel. So,
Oh, you're so sweet.
so yeah. So we were doing ministry together. We were, and then we were, yeah. Tell them about coming down to AHOP here in Fort Lauderdale with me in April. That was Daniel's first time down
And
in.
also, we hung out with your kids a few times.
Oh yeah, yeah. How was that meeting my kids and everything?
Yeah, it was like these are people in her life, but they weren't people that I was expecting to be in our life. More than like they'll always be very close because you have a good relationship with your kids.
Yep.
But just kind of like I wasn't there for that chapter.
Yeah. Plus they're older now.
And they're
so,
older, so
so it was different.
they don't really. It's not like raising a child where it's coming into a family. It's more like grown children that have spread their wings and started flying. So.
Did you feel like the pressure was off? Like you didn't, quote, have to be like a stepdad or
Very
something?
much so.
You didn't have to be in that role.
There was no pressure to be a father to these children.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, hi. Yes, I'm your mother's boyfriend.
/ husband.
No, husband.
Yeah.
Not so much, hi, I'm dad.
Right. So there was none of that pressure.
None of that.
Yep. Yep, because they're very well adjusted and they have a good relationship with their dad. So, and it was interesting because they were like, I told them how old Daniel was, and they're like, oh, so he's literally like 11, for Delaney, my daughter, 11 years older than her, or something like that.
Yeah, and
12.
closer in age to her daughter. Than I am.
But still a huge age gap. So, it was a little bit interesting. I thought the dynamics were funny. And I just said, I think you're kind of like you're like the cool uncle or something, like that kind of a role. I don't know what I said, but something like that.
I don't remember.
But yeah, still a work in progress transition. So I don't know why I ate cheese today. That's why I have phlegm. Sorry. I ate a lot of cheese the last 2 days, which I shouldn't have eaten dairy.
So that's where it went.
Yeah, I'm eating. He's like, "Where's my cheese?" That's why I phlegm. Yeah. So, all right. I feel like this is probably like a good wind-up place. I mean, you know, we went down, we got to Florida, we went on the honeymoon, all that good stuff. But anything else you want to say?
About
Just
our time.
the
and-
journey of dating and marriage and so far? I mean, up to that point?
Well,
Pre-Florida, I should say.
Pre-Florida. Yeah, I enjoyed marriage very much.
It was good to be able to be together. Come
Yes.
down here.
Good to finally find someone
Yes,
to share life with.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on the channel today, and I hope you all have enjoyed just our little commentary. I know we jumped around a lot, and like I said, if you don't remember the context of things, go back to the videos that I shared, the whole story, maybe for reference, if that helps you. You can go back to the first video if you want to hear the beginning part of Daniel's story. So yeah, we thank you for tuning in, and I don't know, I hope it's inspirational. And we probably left some details out. I mean, things that you might want to know. If you have questions, feel free to put them in the comments. You know, if you have questions that you're just curious about, I'm sure we're going to expand more on other things. But in any event, thank you for listening, and until next time, shalom, shalom.